Life Planning Community, or type A. Type B is modified only. And they'll have 20 subsidized units for retired Zen and Quaker teachers, as well as up to 30 units for workforce housing. So that's a very, very new model where you're actually housing your staff and finding housing for them. So we're really excited about those. So if you check out Enzo Village and Enzo Verde, both have working websites, and you can find out a little bit more about them. So, Paul, oh, there he is. You want me to take questions? You want me to sit down? What do you want?
I can't believe there's any questions of Jan. Well, I guess you have to take it.
Yes. I mean,
On the emergency notification, will it be email only or text messages as well?
I think it can be all three: email, text, phone calls.
Thank you.
Yes.
Where do we stand on replacing Sean? The pad?
Sean? Oh,
Sean
Sean.
Kelly.
I'm thinking our Sean.
No,
like
not
he's
Sean.
leaving. Sean Kelly. That's a good question. They're nowhere.
Okay.
They're just, the board is starting to get together, talk about it. Amy Harrison, our CFO, is currently the interim CEO. They're asking her to just mind the shop and get things in order for the next CEO that's coming along. But it'll be a long process. I have a feeling. I know how long my process was to get here, so I can imagine it's going to be. I think Amy has it in the budget for October. So. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jan. I don't care what they're doing in California. I'm not moving. I'm staying right here in Lexington. Whether it's Zen or Buddhist or whatever else they're doing over there. All right, Todd, can you come on up here? And what happened to the clock?
It's on my list. It's on.
Okay, that's one of these projects.
It is now.
One of the major ones.
Hi, good morning. Can everybody hear me okay? All right, I'm going to go down a quick list of updates. That give me 10 minutes, and then if there's time at the end, I'll take any easy questions you guys have. First, the really good news, facilities added 2 new folks about 3 weeks ago. You may have seen Brandon or Kenny walking around. There are 2 new team members on the facilities team under Will. And that brings that team up to their full authorized 7 people, which really helps. December, January, and even into February, we were falling behind a little bit on our work order numbers. And I'm hoping to get caught back up a little bit. And so far, they have been great. So if you see the 2 new guys, Brandon and Kenny, please say hi and welcome them. The generator project, I'm told that panel took 2 years to get here. It was ordered long before me. We did that outage last week. They had told us expect 4 to 8 hours of power outage. It took 75 minutes of actual work. It fit and it worked, which was something I was worried about, to be honest. There's a little bit of an IT issue afterwards. There were some IT disruptions that did not come back up as quickly as we wanted. But overall, I was very pleased. I thought that project went very well. There is now the automatic transfer switch should be automatically transferring when there's an outage rather than us having to manually do things. We did a quick test that day. You may have noticed a couple few second power blips as we cycled it on and off and did some tests, and it passed all the tests just fine. There is probably going to be a small second project we do later to add some additional lightning protection to what's out there, because we have a brand new panel, but it's tied into the old system. There is a new, better way to protect these systems from lightning that we don't have yet. So I'm talking to the smart generator people about adding that. That addition will not require a big outage though. That is work inside the cabinet that no one will know about until I tell you it's done and how happy you are. The dining grill exhaust project I talked about last time, they showed up and they had the wrong duct equipment and the wrong lift. So some unpleasant words were exchanged and they went away and said they will reschedule when they figure out what they're supposed to actually be doing. As of yesterday afternoon, when I talked to them, that is still not rescheduled yet. So it's probably going to be a larger crane when they finally get back. So that's probably why they're not returning my calls. The Sprinkler repairs to the pool. I've been calling every week to get scheduled for that with Johnson Controls to get the pool sprinkler system completely back in service. There were 10,000 locations that had damage during that freeze that Johnson Controls has to go. They helped us with Borden right away because of the criticality of that location. And I'm happy to say I got an email from them this morning about scheduling the pool. We have come to the top of wherever we are in 10,000 other customers. I don't know if that means, hey, we'll come next week when I tell them, or if that's okay, we're scheduling and you're now a month out. I don't know, but at least I got feedback and we are in the scheduling queue at this point. The major heating and air conditioning repairs here for Anderson are progressing. You may have seen trained people and some contractors here several times in the last few weeks to work on air handler 1 and air handler 2, which is really north, south, and the main building here. It touches a lot of our common spaces here. They showed up yesterday to put in the first of the components of that major fix, and the valve actuator they brought did not fit. So more pleasant words were exchanged between me and the contractor, and they'll be back sometime, hopefully with the correct system. Several major renovation and remodel projects have gone over on Sycamore, and some of the cluster cottages are next in the queue, where when the spaces are empty before new residents move in, we're actually checking on the water heater, checking on the air conditioning system, adding some insulation to the attics and things like that. So the first several of those projects have completed, and we're moving on to the next ones in the queue, and that's probably going to be an enduring effort as things come open for a good long time. The pond project with the Washington and Lee students, or the pond design project, I should say, for the Washington and Lee students is in its final phases. I met with their faculty advisor yesterday. You may notice their red and yellow flags are finally gone, so they're no longer traipsing around actually measuring. Now they're writing reports and trying to get good grades on that. That went very well. They were very good to work with. The meeting yesterday, they asked if I wanted to do future projects with them, and I said absolutely. Talk to us and we'll see what some needs are where we can work with them, and they can have meetings with residents like they did in this project, things like that. I think it was good for us. I think it was good for the students to get that exposure in a non-academic, insulated environment. It was a good experience for them. Design work for the employee lounge is about ready to kick off. There's a small survey ready to go out, so that's come to the top of the queue. I don't have anything to show for it yet, but it's coming to the top, so that'll be worked on soon. The storage shed in the dumpster fence in the back, I'm working on adding power out there because we want to put an exhaust fan in the shed to protect some of the items that are stored in there in the summer. We don't want that shed cooking to 120 degrees and damaging things that are kept out there. So we're just looking for basic lights and an exhaust fan. That has proved more difficult than we expected, as we thought. And I've got about 4 options we're looking at, from as major as trenching across the road and running power to the building, or as isolated as putting a single solar panel and a small inverter out there. So we've got some options. We're working on that. I might have some decisions and some progress next time. And the last thing I'll talk about is the time changed on Sunday. Monday we went around and fixed all the clocks. I noticed this one was 5 minutes slow, so I fixed it this morning. And by fixing it, I mean it now doesn't work at all. So at the next meeting, you probably have a nice new clock to admire in the background. So I sat in the back and used my phone and actually texted Kathy a work order while I was already sitting. All right, I didn't quite use all my 10 minutes, so easy questions. Any easy questions, I'll be happy to answer. Yes, ma'am.
Do you know the schedule for the power washing up on the ridge?
The question was, do I know the schedule for power washing up on the ridge? No, I don't. We have an iterative plan year to year as we're going to go through that, but I don't have the exact contractor schedule nailed down for that yet. When I do, I'll bring that to the meeting and announce that in advance. All right, thank you.
I was really upset with Todd last week. He promised us 4 to 8 hours of power outage. I was planning my whole day, sleeping in, not worried about having to turn on my computer, answer emails and all that. 8 o'clock, I'm eating breakfast, power went off, right on schedule. I said, great, great. Trouble is that, 75 minutes later, 9:15, the power came on, and that ruined my whole day. Now I gotta get up, I had to turn on my computer, read all these emails and everything else. It was just another regular day. And I think next time, Todd, if you promise 8 hours, I expect 8 hours of power on so we can properly plan our day. But,
I'll work with IT to make sure we.
okay, thanks. Anyway, the next one up, we have Kevin for marketing.
Good morning. It's our first Residents Association meeting since Jessica went and joined Kendall Corp. So the first thing we do is have Zoom not work for the first 8 minutes. And I apologize to everybody in Zoom land, but by the next meeting, hopefully there will be a new marketing director who will know how this works. We did have some internal moves in this past month. Paul mentioned Mary Stratton moved into apartment 13 earlier this month. Helen Staley moves into apartment 113 today. Other new residents, Pat Iskandarian from Lexington became a resident February 16th. She's taking her time moving into apartment 318, but that's where you will see her. Right now, I think you see her in the pool more often than you see her in her apartment, but she's working on that. Sally Hightower from Houston, Texas, actually became a resident last November, but is moving into her cottage at 88 Sycamore Lane as we speak. And tomorrow, Midge and Jerry Elliott from Amherst become residents, and they will be moving into 30 Sycamore Lane this Sunday and Monday. As far as what we're currently selling, we have 2 apartments available to be reserved, a 2-bedroom den floor plan F apartment, as well as a 1-bedroom floor plan B. And Katie and I are in the process of making phone calls to find out who will be the next resident in those 2 apartments. Katie.
Good morning. All right, for the record, Zoomland, I had it figured out before the meeting. I just messed it up once the meeting started, so. Anyway, just wanted to talk about our tours and try-its. It is a little bit, for all of our sakes, we're very happy about, a little bit slower, the month of February into March. We still had 7 tours and try-its, and those people are still coming from all over the place. We had a bunch from Virginia, so Amherst, Roanoke, Charlottesville, Bedford. And then we have people coming to visit us from Houston, Texas, St. Simmons Island, Georgia, and Durham, North Carolina. So they're still coming from all over, and I'm sure most of you will be hearing from us soon as we ramp up going into the spring. Turns out that people in the north are getting kind of tired of this winter. So they want to come see us instead, and we'll take them graciously. But any questions for marketing? We're hoping to know about a new director as early as next week, but we'll keep you informed. We're pretty far through that interview process. So, and we got to see Jessica for the day yesterday, helping us with another project. She was not here for PR reasons. Don't worry. All right. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much. And I also want to thank Mary and Helen for accepting apartments 13 and was it T13? I mean, those are very hard to get residents to occupy. So we want to thank them for that. I'm sure they'll have a wonderful stay in those apartments. Anyway, there's always been questions on work orders. How do they work? When would my work order be accomplished? And then as Jen mentioned previously, when people submit a work order, the maintenance guy comes up to complete it. All of a sudden, somebody has 2 or 3 other items they want the maintenance person to attend to. And of course, that puts him behind schedule because he has other apartments and other work to do. And so we're telling residents, and we continue to tell you residents, if you submit a work order, please list all the items you want done. When that maintenance man shows up, or woman, if we ever get a maintenance woman here, I'm sure they'll be helping to help us. Please list every single item you want done. So look around your apartment so that the maintenance man has been given sufficient time to complete all the tasks that you want to have done. And it won't be an ad hoc thing when he shows, oh, by the way, can you also look at this? So please consider that when you submit your work order. But Kathy, who is in charge of all work orders, and she handles out all the work assignments for making, she's going to give a presentation on the whole system. And this is your opportunity to ask questions about why your work order got left behind or lost. Oh, it never happened? Okay. Kathy, please step forward.
Good morning, everybody. I apologize, so I'm not used to microphones, I'm used to projecting. Closer. Closer, okay. For those of you who want an update, Louise will be here in a month. We're excited to meet her. So like Paul said, I am here to do song and dance, no, a presentation on Works Hub, and I have a handy dandy presentation. So why did it go past? Anyway, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is what actually happens when you submit a work order. So when you log onto your computer, you would go to kalex.theworkshub.com and log in. If you have any issues logging in or accessing the site, talk to Becky. She'll help you get all that set up, and if you need something reset, she will reach out to me and work with us to get that corrected. Once you log in, you will see this screen, which some of you are probably very familiar with. And if you need to get with my folks, you would choose maintenance. All things related to technology goes to IT. This is what I see when a work order is submitted. This screen is up on my internet browser all the time, and I get notifications when a work order is submitted. And I see all of the details that you send to me. And like Paul said, the more details you give me, the better. Because what I see is all in yellow, what gets submitted. The location of what needs to happen, who submitted it, and a brief description and details of what we need to do, and whether or not our team has permission to enter the residence or location if no one is home. These are the things that I would fill in. I would fill in the priority, meaning how soon do we need to have it completed by, whether it needs to be completed at a later date, the same day, immediately, depending on the severity of the situation. So due date, whether or not it needs to be taken care of same day or down the road, needs to be entered in. If you would like us to come by at a specific time, we can do that. And I would indicate that on this form so that my guys know when to show up and help you out. The category and subcategory is so that we know what type of work we're dealing with, whether it's with an HVAC system, a leaking toilet, or something that needs to be repaired as far as an appliance. Prioritization. Every work order is important to us. We do not consider anything too small. Sometimes they can be a bit too large, but that's more Todd's department than mine. If for some reason it gets your work order is rejected by me, most of the time it's one of two reasons. Number one, it's already in the system. So, and I will indicate that when I do hit reject. Reject sounds such a nasty word, but we don't like duplicate work orders in the system because it just mucks up the data. So the other reason is it is out of our scope of abilities. So it's a project that will require something larger scheme than just one of our 7 guys coming by with a light bulb kind of thing. In the beginning, when I first came here last year, we were focused more on having a guy per zone. So we had one of our maintenance techs that was in charge of everything for Sunrise Ridge, Sycamore Lane, Cluster Cottages, so forth and so on. We are moving away from that. It's going to take time, but we are moving more from zones to specializations. So that in Todd's purview, when he came here, he said, if you've got a plumbing issue, you don't want an electrician coming to fix it. And vice versa, if you've got an electrical problem, you don't want a plumber coming to fix it. You want an electrician. So I work with Will and with Todd to make sure that the best person is assigned to a task. And then I distribute those work orders to our guys at the end of each day for the next business day. And they head off and do their thing. The prioritization that we mainly put on is how quickly do we need to respond to a work order. So we've got things that are emergencies or same day reactions, I guess. So things like fires, leaking plumbing. If something has happened with your pet, with a call bell and boredom, anything to do with the nurse call system, we want to address that as soon as possible so that you're as safe as possible. Geysering toilets. If it is actively geysering and blowing all over the floor, that's an emergency. We want to address that as quickly as possible. Also, things like if you're stuck in the elevator, or if the elevator is just not working, we want our elevators to work, so we need to know that immediately. Or like recently, if we've had any power outages, we'd want to address that day of and get that back up as soon as possible. Then we've got short-term versus long-term. So things that may take a day or two, or 3, 4 week, 2 weeks. Things like moving furniture may take an afternoon, may take a couple of days, depending on what we have to do. Things like painting may take up to 3 days, may take a few weeks, depending on location, how much, or whether or not we have paint or if we need to apply paint. Or things like remodeling. Sometimes we go in for a very quick fix and it turns into a remodel project because we have to replace a bunch of stuff behind the scenes, which means that we've got to be flexible. And no, I don't mean that. We don't want to do yoga in our apartment. Flexible meaning we need to be able to go, okay, we thought this was going to take 15 minutes. We now know that it's going to take about 3 days to up to 2 weeks. And one issue that we ran into recently was in the fitness center shower. We thought we were just going to be taking off, the wall of a shower, like the covering. But it turned into, okay, we get to take off the covering, we get to move the drain, we get to change walls around. And we didn't actually get the tile worker to be able to come in here until yesterday, as opposed to January 23rd. So something that should have taken maybe a day turned into about 2 months. So we've got to be flexible about when we can actually work on and finish the things that we get handed. So once things get distributed, our team goes out, does what they can as quickly as they can. Sometimes they have to wait for parts. But once it is completed, then they bring their work orders to me. This is an actual work order. Once it's brought to me completed, the worker signs it, dates it. They can add any notes to the work order indicating whether or not they had to do any extra work, or if they ran into any issues, if parts needed to be ordered, things like that. And they can also indicate how long they worked on that particular job. Once it's submitted to me, I look it up in the system. I mark it as complete. I can make my own notes. So if they indicated that they ran into some issues, or if they're waiting for some parts, things like that, I can make those notes right there. And then I hit it as complete, and it is now marked and showing up as complete if you were to go in and reference it on your site. Lungs are squishy. I do not mark a work order as complete until I get a signed paper back from my team. I don't assume anything, because we all know what happens when you assume. But we're not perfect. If something is marked as complete, but it's not up to what you wanted done, please let us know. We are always looking to improve and get better. But my purview has always been, I can't get better unless I'm told I need to get better. So some stats for you number crunchers out there. The oldest active work order in the system is back from 2020. It was submitted 15th of January by a staff, and it was regarding the dips in the carpet on the third floor of the north building near apartments 318 and 322. The reason why it's still active is because it's a little bit more than just lifting up a square carpet and shifting things around. It's going to take some time and materials and know-how, and it'll disrupt traffic in that hallway. So we do still remember it. It's not marked as complete, but it is going to take some time, and that's why it's still open. Yeah. The number of work orders that were submitted in 2021 totaled 8,979, roughly measured out to be about 748 a month. Number of work orders submitted in 2022, 10,284, worked out to about 857 a month. This includes both the work orders that were submitted by residents and staff, and also the preventive maintenance work orders for things like filters, bed inspections, things like that, that happen on a reoccurring basis. The average number of work orders submitted so far for 2023 has been per month. For January and February is about 585. This is a lower number, not because we're doing less work, but because we have fewer paperwork submissions in the system because we've been doing some preventive maintenance consolidation. So like for the filters for AC units, there used to be a work order submitted and created for every single unit and apartment and cottage. A lot of paperwork. So instead of having 200 work orders for AC filters, we now have 1 per area. Less paper, less trees. Our completion rate based on the number of work orders submitted and the number of work orders still active. This data came from as of January 2022 to right now, we're at 96%. So good, very good. Graph. So this data is as of the 13th at around 1 p.m. The blue numbers are the number of work orders that are completed for that month. And it starts with January 2022, works your way down to March of this month, yes. March of this month. The little orange areas are the ones that are still active. The way we keep track of those is we like to at least keep things rolled forward every 2 weeks. So that it's still fresh on everybody's memory. We may have to push things back a little bit depending on the weather or parts or general know-how. But we do keep track of what is still open, and we like to keep addressing it whenever we can. So if you see it or you need it, please tell us. Don't assume that we already know about it. But even if we do know about it, it's in the system, I'll let you know. But don't be ashamed to let us know. One thing we're trying to get away from, like Paul mentioned, is a lot of our guys are just kind of pulled out from the hallways, or, hey, while you're here, can you do this real quick? And something that was going to take 5 minutes is now taking up an hour and a half of their time. And we don't know what they were doing for the other hour and 25 minutes. So what we would ask is there are multiple ways to submit work orders, not just through WorkZone. Most of you know where my office is. If not, I'll be happy to show you where I live from 8 to 5. And you can send me an email, give me a phone call. You can write a note and stick it on my desk. You can swing by my office, let me know what's going on. Karen Miller at the front desk has paper forms that you can fill out. She gets those to me. And like I said, no work order is not important to us. Promise. So if you see it or need it, say it, but please fill out a work order so that we can have it in the system. So, any easy questions?
This is a 2-part question. First of all, do you indicate back to the occupant that the work has been completed? I have for example, put in a work order about 7 months ago on an outside gutter that was leaking and could have been corrected. I wouldn't know because unless I went out there. The question is, do you feedback? The second part of the question is, do you batch orders? So when I identify a problem, and I assume many other people do, you put in a work order. The concern, I understand the concern of people coming in there and saying, oh, can you do this and do that? But if you have 3 work orders for the same cottage or the same apartment, do you ordinarily just batch them and send somebody in and say, while you're there, do all 3 tasks?
So the questions are, do we give feedback for when the work order is completed if no one's home? And do we essentially consolidate work orders for the same unit? Easy answers, yes, most of the time. For feedback, 9 times out of 10, the feedback and indication that your work order has been completed, you can look in WorkSub to see the status of your WorkSub, whether it's in progress, on hold, or completed. And you can always contact me to just follow up, say, hey, I was just wondering if this got done, and I can easily look in the system and say, it was indicated to me that it was completed on this day. And consolidation. If the maintenance tech can take care of all 3 or 4, however many work orders for a particular unit do get submitted, yes, absolutely, we can have just one guy come by and take care of those things. If we do need to split it up, we'll split it up. So you may have 2 guys coming at 2 different times for 2 different things. It all depends on their specializations. In back.
Related on that second one. If I have a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, I wake up and there's 4 things. that
Those
need to
never happen here.
Do you want 4 work hub entries or 1, which is easier to manage?
Even if, so the question is, if you've got multiple issues for your cottage, do you want, say you've got 4 issues, do you want 4 work orders, or do you want 1 work order? Honestly, the question is what's most convenient for you. If you want to submit 4 separate work orders, have at it. If you just want to give me a list, I can then not necessarily tear it apart, but break it up and say, okay, we've got a flooring issue, that's this guy. We've got a plumbing issue, that's this guy. These are all easy, I'll just give it to 1 guy, kind of thing. So I'll work with you and we'll make sure that everything that you do request does get done.
I'd just like to add, you gave the URL address to get into WorkSub. We also have it available as a link on Katie. So all you have to do is go into Katie on the menu, you'll find WorkSub, and that'll take you, you don't have to memorize that URL.
So the comment was that I did give a URL, you can do that, or there's also a link in Katie. And all Katie questions go to Becky. Any other easy questions? Hard questions go to Becky. All right. Thank you. There you go.
Of course, my question, if, well, they shut it down when she was talking. My question, if I'm in the elevator and I can't get out, how do I submit the work order?
On your phone.
Well, I don't carry my phone around. I don't want to be bothered. Also, I want to comment that the oldest work order is right outside my door. I've been looking at that floor for the last 4 years. And it's not a hole in the carpet, it's a hole in the cement floor. So I wish somebody would come up and look at that 2020 work order. I put some tape down on the carpeting so you know exactly where you can trip when you come up. But anyway, that's interesting that there was actually an old work order there. I just did not know that.
If I can add that carpet is a 2023 capital project. So it is still open in the system, but I have a capital project this year to deal with that. We'll be closing it this year, I promise.
Okay, I'm just concerned people on the walker. That's why I put tape down, because the people, I don't want people to trip. Some of my neighbors are walkers, although one of them moved down to Webster. She got tired of avoiding that. But anyway, that's what, okay. So next is Diane. She's gonna give us some update on culture and entertainment. And that's our focus here at Kendall.
Thank you. Champion.
That was a really informative.
It's,
Get out.
you can shut us off.
Sorry.
There's a bundle of stuff on the wall.
All right,
The
is it
whole
on?
system had to shut because I couldn't kill the projector. It'll be on in just a second.
Technically,
How about now?
See if it works. See if it works.
All right, thank you. That was a very good presentation. It was informative for us, and I thought that the progression of the slides was really well done. Thank you very much.
This afternoon, this afternoon, Rich Bidlack, who teaches history at Washington and Lee, is coming back to give us an update on the incursion in Ukraine. He has come here before. He isn't going to talk about the war logistics, but more the setting for why Putin keeps justifying this incursion. And near the end of his talk, we're going to have Olafur and Rena come up, and he's going to translate some of their thoughts, and we can ask them some questions. And Rich said, I can't do it very long because that translating is difficult. But the two servers their eyes lit up when they said, yes, we'd like to come, because I'll say, I'd really like to talk to you as we talk into the phone that does simultaneous translation. And that's interesting. This talk this afternoon begins at 4 o'clock, not at 4:30. We try to do 4:30, but there are occasions when we need to start something earlier. So please note that it's an earlier time. St. Patrick's Day, Friday, there's 3 programs that day. So check the bulletin board for all of those. And the one that the CNE committee has arranged is for the Marlbrook Chamber group to be here at 7:15 in the evening. A nice finish to the day. One of the things that's really interesting in this county, we know about the activities, cultural activities that, Peggy, you've got a very active phone today. Put it on silence. There's a lot of business going around here that we maybe don't know as much about. There's the farming that takes place on our site. There is robotic milking, dairy farm milking, where we have been there before. We're trying to get an appointment to make a visit there. And this coming Thursday on the 23rd, we're going to go visit a commercial greenhouse, Mountain View Greenhouse. And so you can either take the bus or you can drive your own car, and you are also able to buy some spring plants there. Beautiful setting out there that the Lewises have. There are the other items that are listed on the bulletin boards and sign up. Please do check those so you can see what's coming up. We are having more dining out in different places where we haven't been. Coming up, we're going to be going to Seasons Yield for a morning break. They have wonderful baked pastries. It's downtown, so we're going to try a morning outing. And later on, we're going to be going to the country club. And in May, we're going to be going to House Mountain Inn. So we're planning some of those different things that we have. And I just urge you to look on the bulletin board for all of those different things. Questions? Thanks.
Thank you, Diane. And she didn't specifically mention, but the Kendall Singers will do a sing-along. I think it's at 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday. And so this is a group of residents here that practice every week to entertain us. And so we hope to see a large crowd here at 10 o'clock on Friday to sing along with your best Irish brogue and enjoy that. So next we have Hardin, who's going to give us a little update on Kendall College. Doctor?
Good morning, everyone. There must be about 100 people on Zoom because there are a few extra seats available here in the Kendall Hall. I owe Paul Cormier an apology and a debt of gratitude. Some of you may remember that when he scheduled the agenda, set up the agenda for the last meeting a month ago, he scheduled me to appear in the third hour of a 1-hour meeting. Well, this time he scheduled me in the second hour, so I've escalated. I think he was just trying to see if I could get another laugh today. But even so, I thought I'd better not wait until 11 o'clock to come over. And it's a good thing because at about a minute before the meeting started, the schedule, the agenda got jiggered and I got put up 10 minutes and that put me into the first hour. So I'm happy to be here this morning. My purpose this morning is simply to remind you once again of our Kendall College speaker, Aliyah Basuni, who will talk on investment issues beginning 3 weeks from today, April 5th, and following that opening lecture with 2 more on April 12th and April 19th. I urge you who may be saying to yourselves, I'm not interested in investment talks and money talks and things like that. Reconsider that negativism because Aliyah Basuni will captivate you. A year and a half or 2 years ago,
Hard time with this phone. I'm just gonna throw it away.
about a year and a half or 2 years ago, we invited Lena Hill, the provost at Washington and Lee, to give us some suggested names of professors that we might want to have to give Kendall College programs here. One of those names was Ryan Brindle, who was our last speaker on sleep and sleep research. And I wrote her a thank you email, thanking her for tipping us off as to Ryan Brindle, but she also recommended in her couple of years ago email, Aliyah Basuni. And so I told her Aliyah was coming out to speak in April for a Kendall College program. And she wrote back and said, among other things, Aliyah is one of our most impressive newer faculty members. So I carry that recommendation on to you as well. Aliyah is currently an associate professor of finance at Washington and Lee. She's been here 4 or 5 years. She came from Cairo, Egypt, where she was educated at and then continued to teach at the American University in Cairo until Washington and Lee was enabled to bring her here. I have audited her class and I knew nothing about the subject matter, but I enjoyed hearing her lecture about things that I didn't know much about. For those of you who read the article in Connections, this will be old news to you, but her 3 lectures will be first on April 5, investment strategies, and the winner is. The second one on April 12, arbitrage in financial markets. There's no such thing as a free lunch, or is there? Arbitrage is one of those words that I've heard about a long time, and I could never define it if anybody asked me to do so, because I didn't study finance when I was in college or since. It's the simultaneous purchase and sale of equivalent assets to profit from price differentials. And you'll be fascinated to hear her explain and give illustrations. And the third and final lecture on April 19 is the curious case of rising stock prices during times of crisis. That too should be an interesting subject to hear about. We're in some of that, I think, right now this year. Something fell.
It's over here. Blended in with the carpet.
Oh,
That's mine.
not even my pencil, my pen.
It's mine.
Yours. Are there any questions before I sit down? Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you at Kendall College in 3 weeks.
Thank you, Hardin. And each of the Kendall Colleges series we've had this year and all the past are just well worth attending. And even though you may not have any great interest in a particular subject, but the instruction is really outstanding. And I think you're doing a great job in scheduling these professors from WNL to educate us, to inform us of current events, et cetera. Anyway, next up, we were going to give an update on the 3 North Committee, and Wick is zooming. So he has asked Diane to step in and give us an update on 3 North Committee.
Thank you. I want to step, Wick and I have talked, and I'm giving the report. Sue is just back from a trip. Wick and Sue are the co-chairs of the 3 North conveners, the 3 North Committee. And I thought that it would be helpful if we step back a little bit and look at what the 3 North Committee does and how it came to be. We had the land use study that was done with a great deal of input from all of the residents here, and they came up with this wonderful plan. You can see the details out on the table, some of which we will do and some of which we probably won't do. And we try to look at how do we go about implementing what were some of the recommendations. And there's a great deal of thought by the committee. There are 7 residents on that committee: Sue Pifel, Wick Walker, Bruce Dwyer, Robin Potter, Paul Cormier. A recent addition is John McGran, who brings his talents to the committee, and myself. 2 staff people. We have Jan Bigelow and Todd Pegg attend every meeting. And Pam Lucky, who is the president of our Kendall board, also attends. So this is really a joint effort in looking at what we do. It's important to the board and to administration and to us to keep improving our campus thoughtfully and carefully, and trying to meet the needs of what we'd like to see, what we don't want to see, and to think about the activities that might enhance what it is that we're doing at any one time. I've been impressed with the deliberations that we have in considering all of this. Some people, I can tell, think, I don't really think we should be doing that, and others, yes, let's go ahead and do it. But we have to balance different people's needs. We have to think about the amenities that we have here on the campus. And one that comes to my mind is the fitness center. Many of us use the fitness center, even less use the pool, but it's there. And it's something that really is important in attracting people to come to our campus. So those kinds of decisions are what we consider as we're doing. We've heard some concern about the structure that we're looking at to do this year on Sycamore Hill. The cost, how many people will really use it? Well, it might not be very accessible. And we have thought about all of those different kinds of things. Our campus was dug up when we went into phase 3, and now we sort of have not very pleasant looking landscape out here, and we want to improve it. In 2 ways that we're looking at that this year is how we have native grasses grow up there, improve the trails. So we're going to be spending money on improving what was the Hall Road over to then the dump, which now has the name Sycamore Hill. And actually up there are wonderful vistas. And we think that having a structure, a modest sized, open sided, framed structure as a place where people can go for picnics, just taking something up there, or sitting and going and just contemplating the beautiful views up there is something that we should be thinking about doing. Getting up there, we've talked to the people that administer activities in Borden and Webster, and they say that, yeah, they could take a few carts up there. So we think in terms about when we go on a picnic, we take everything we need when we go up there. So that's more or less how we have defined what we will include in building that structure. And we also are aware that maybe we should be looking at accessibility to different parts of the campus and making some system available for using our golf carts. And occasionally we have some what do we call all-terrain vehicles, ATVs, that could go up there. So that's why we are going ahead. The board put into the capital budget for this year, $75,000 for the 3 North Camp Committee to use to help make this campus look better and have it accessible, or have it the activities that we can do here. So we carefully and thoughtfully do that. We welcome your input on what it is that we're doing. As I said, for this year, what the committee is doing is looking at the grasses, improving the access up to Sycamore Hill. Development of the structure, we're continuing to look at prices and how it is that we go there. We hope that it will be a timber frame, attractive structure, 16 by 18. We want it to be very flexible in how it's used, and it will have hard surface, most likely paving tiles, so that people on walkers will have easy way to get there. We're looking at other enhancements. We're looking at screening. I think we might, I hope that we're going to have some screening up there on the structures that we see as we're going up Kendall Drive and coming down. And we have to find out how much we can put around there and have clearance for those electric boxes there. So we're going to keep on looking at different ways to do it. And as I say, please do talk to committee members as we keep progressing. We meet monthly to make plans. Questions? Yes.
What is Sycamore Hill?
Sycamore Hill has been Mount Lena.
Okay.
It has been Hickory Hill. And we think the permanent name is going to be Sycamore Hill, or as we do at Kendall, the Hill. Dorothy?
Are you considering a toilet?
No, we're not having a toilet. This is going to be a picnic place. It may be for Borden that residents or so on, we may take a kind of toilet that goes, you know, sort of like for nighttime use. But one of the things that we thought was very important is maintenance. Have this be a low maintenance. There will not be electricity. There will not be running water. To put anything like that in is super expensive. And if you're gonna have a toilet, then you have to have running water. Since we know that, all right, and composting toilets cost like $10,000. And so we've been looking at that. We will at some point probably put solar panels so that we might be able to have a fan up there, but there's a great deal of breeze up there. So we think it will be naturally there. We're just making this like a picnic shelter to keep the cost down, and that we don't need all the amenities. An incredible amount of digging and putting some of these other kinds of things in there would make it really cost prohibitive. Other thoughts? Thanks. This is my.
Thank you, Diane. And next up, we have Elizabeth Harlison is going to give us a little update on this yard sale. She's had experience in doing yard sales, also doing a yard sale here at Kendall, so she's going to recreate that for us, hopefully in May.
I suspect that all of us moved to Kendall with more than we need. And maybe we've been given gifts of things that we don't need or want. And so we will have an opportunity to get rid of them. This is a residence yard sale. It will be May 13th with the rain date of May 20th from 9 in the morning to 12 noon. I'm going to put a little want ad in the News Gazette so people from town and county will come, because they will think, oh, Kendall residents are all rich and they're going to have wonderful things. It will be in the central parking lot out here in front of Anderson, which will be blocked off. Tables and chairs will be set up. Staff will be asked to park in the north lot that day, so all parking will be open for shoppers, all those shoppers. You may drive your items to nearby parking, unload, and then move your car so that you're not taking up one of the valuable parking spaces. Some able-bodied men have agreed to help get your items out that morning, but you will need to have your items in cartons or bags for easy transport. At noon, again, some people will be available to help remove your unsold items, the tables and chairs, as quickly as possible. What you need to do is let me know if you wish to participate. Call or email. Don't tell me in person in the dining room or in the hall, because I won't remember. I need for you to call me or email me if you wish to participate. I'll need to know if you want one card table or two. Do you have a card table that could be used that day? Price everything. You price your items yourself. There are labels available at Walmart. They're Avery multi-use removable labels. And you'll be your own cashier. You'll need $5 bills, $1 bills, and quarters. Let me know if you need help getting your items out and then back in, so I'll know how much help to recruit. Any questions?
I just like to say that I was rich before I came here, and once I wrote that check, I'm no longer rich. So, this misperception that we're all rich people here, there might be one or two of you out here, but I think most of us here, we're getting by now, but I think we're doing well anyway. Anyway, I'm gonna have Bob Gettys give us an update on sustainability and how we're getting along.
Well, it's beyond the bewitching hour, obviously, so I'll try to keep this short. I did want you to know that we have 3 visitors arriving on campus tomorrow from Senior Stewards Acting for the Environment. This is a 3-year-old organization that is a networking opportunity for Kendalls in terms of working to improve the environment and attack climate change. It's been around, as I said, for 3 years. It's a separate nonprofit organization. It's not directly affiliated with K-Corp or any of the participating Kendalls itself. But they'll be here all day. So if you see us walking around with them, I hope you'll stop and say hello. There are 2 residents from other campuses, one from Kendall at Hanover and another one from Kendall at Longwood. And the program director for SSAFE will also be along with them. The one thing that I wanted to emphasize is they will be having a program here in Kendall Hall at 2 o'clock on Friday afternoon. That presentation will include a short TED Talk on the latest advances in mitigating the effects of climate change. I have seen the video and it's excellent. And those of you who think it's doom and gloom, you'll understand a little more about the progress that's being made in the area of climate mitigation. In addition, each of our visitors will talk a little bit about their own campuses and what they're doing. And there's some amazing work going on across the system. The real advantage of SSAFE is it's a networking opportunity. So we learn about the successes in composting, in energy efficiency, et cetera, from our colleagues in other states, and we steal from those other organizations for new ideas. Finally, I just wanted to say a little bit about what's happening here at Kendall. So the Sustainability Committee and the Facilities Committee have joined together to create a work group on energy efficiency on campus. I hope you'll read the lead article in the April issue of Connections, which talks about the situation that happened in late December when we had a major power outage and what the consequences of that are for us as throughout the remainder of the year. And also talks a little bit about one of our initial steps to try to prevent that from occurring in the future. So pay attention to that as you look at it. In addition, starting with the May issue of Connections, we're going to be carrying in each monthly issue a little short column that talks about what you can do in your own household to conserve on energy and conserve on water usage. So anyway, those are just some of the initial activities that the Energy Efficiency Work Group has been working on. We have some other activities that are going to be coming up, but I just wanted you to be aware of it.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Bob. You're probably wondering why was Bob listed as the last speaker on the agenda? And for those conveners of the committees, yeah, when I get contacted, please put me on as a speaker. I'll add you to that. And of course, if you're the last one to tell me, then you'll be toward the end. So Hardin, last month, he was the last one to say, can I be on the agenda? Yes, I'll put anybody on the agenda that needs to speak. But this time he was a little earlier. It was before Bob. So anyway, that's how it goes. So two things I want to mention, even though, well, the clock's not there, so you don't know what time it is. I think we're still within our first hour, but is the fellowship fund. Okay, we talked about that last week and it's still ongoing. And so if you look on your desk and your computer, if you remember that little envelope you got in the mail, if you still have it, that means you have not made a donation to the fellowship fund. And I talked about how important that is. The main purpose of that is to invest the funds that are donated by residents here, so that if any of us in the future have financial difficulties that prevent us from, that we can no longer pay our monthly fee, that the fellowship fund is available to help supplement your monthly fee. And as I said, as of today, I think we have one person who's receiving supplemental support to make sure they don't have to leave Kendall. And none of us ever have to leave Kendall until the time happens that, anyway. As of today, we have 47 gifts have been received from the 47 households. And this is not an individual gift, it's a household gift. So we received an average of about $550 per household from those 47 households. And we raised $25,725. But it's sort of stagnant now. People sort of forgotten about it. These 44 households have made their donation, but what about the other 100 households? If you're one of those 100 households that have not made a donation in whatever amount you can make, please do so. Obviously, percentage of support is also important, as well as the amount of money that you're able to give. So that's another reminder for you. Please consider that if you find that if you've lost your envelope, the committee will find will find additional envelopes. We have plenty of envelopes to give, or just write a check and stick it in the mailbox next to Karen's desk. The last thing I want to talk about is these benches and chairs that are scattered around campus. Last year we bought a bunch of them, and basically Diane and I went around and we decided where was the best place we put these benches and chairs. And we told Herbie, when you get them in, place them in these areas. And they're not set locations. It's whatever we thought be a good location for somebody to use. But there has been a request, and I want to let you know, the request that there are 4 chairs on the corner of Sycamore Lane, at the end of Sycamore Lane, just down from Sunnyside. They're up on a hill, and I forget what that street going up the hill is, Sycamore Street or something. Anyway, there's been a request that we move those chairs down to the dog park, because people want to go, when they go down the dog park to watch the dogs, they want to be able to sit down for a while. So we are going to move those 4 chairs and 1 table on that one location down to the dog park. Eventually, the dog park they have requested 10 benches to be placed around the dog park area, so there'll be plenty more benches eventually. But in the meantime, we're going to put 4 of those chairs. So if anybody has any problems on that, please let me know today, because I'm going to submit the work order to please move those chairs. As I said, we can move, and if you find another place that you need to have a bench or a chair, because please let us know, so we can just move these things around as we have them. So anyway, I think we've covered most things today. Obviously, with COVID going around our campus today, just be very careful. It's probably a good idea to have your mask with you, so that if you're ever in a situation with a large crowd, other than us, of course, we're all safe here. Please have it ready. So if you're in a large crowd, you're out of town, whatever, just be aware that COVID is still with us. Luckily, nobody has gone to the hospital, but still, it's not worth going through that period of sickness in your apartment and being cut off, isolated for 5 to 10 days. So please be careful. Thank you very much for coming today. And there's probably, I hope there might be some scones left over there, some fruit. Please use it all up because we've already paid for it. Somebody has anyway, so thank you.